I have been training for years, and when I started training twice a day, the progress got so much faster. So here's how to consistently train twice a day while having school. First step, get adapted. So to make the training twice consistently as easy as possible, the first training of the day needs to be as adapted, needs to be as simple as possible, because if that is at a random time or it is inconsistent, if it changes from day to day, it will be so much more difficult to train twice a day. If one day it was later in the day and the second day it was earlier, it will be so complicated. So the first workout needs to be a consistent routine. It needs to be so simple, it needs to be so consistent to the point that every day is the same thing, that we don't even need any some sort of reminders or alarms to remind us when it's time to train. So by getting adapted to that first workout, for example, to that first small consistent time window to train out consistently, once we get so adapted that it gets simple to follow that routine and that program, to make the first workout of the day so simple, so effortless as much as possible. And the way to actually do that is by first getting adapted to that time window, to that training time window, and know instantly when it's time to train. By first getting so adapted to that time window, like I said, it will get so simple to train twice a day, because the first one won't even feel like trying to train because it feels so effortless. And then getting adapted to that first workout and then the second workout gets so much simpler to just follow through every single day. So the first step is to get adapted to that routine, to that first routine of the day, to that first training window or time of the day. So the first training window needs to be consistent as possible. Second step, lower training time. So the first step, it was get adapted, and the fastest way to actually get adapted is by lowering the training time and then focusing on repetition and volume. By constantly training at that to get consistent to that first training window, to that consistent first training window, and the fastest way to get adapted to that training window. So lowering training time makes us adapted as quick as possible, and getting adapted will help us train twice a day and make it as easier as possible, because the first training is usually the hardest. Once it is done earlier in the day, then going back training twice will be so much simpler and easier than training at a random time and then also trying to train twice later. That gets a lot harder to stick to and get consistent in. And the third step, keep it simple. All of the routines, all of the workouts, different machines, cardio machines, keep it as simple as possible, because with training twice, it doesn't need to get more complicated than that. By making it as simple as possible and easier to remember, to stick to, and be able to instantly know what to do without effortlessly trying to remember or to think what to do, which machines to hit, which muscle groups to target, what it was the day before or after that. And making it as simple and keeping it as simple as possible, that helps so much with the consistency, and especially with the second training of the day. It just needs to be 20 to 30 minutes of some cardio. It doesn't need to get anything more than that. Maybe if you didn't finish the first workout, maybe it can go to 45 to 1 hour then, but usually it needs to just be 20 to 30 minutes. And also, not every single day, training twice every single day, like 7 days a week every time, and training more than 3 hours a day, that's too much, especially if you can recover from it. So the recovery has to be also on point, and also the training shouldn't go more than 3 hours at all. It should be around 1.5 hours to 2 hours. But to get the routine I follow with both the first training and the second training, all of my routine and the recovery I follow to always max out my recovery and get as recovered as possible, everything will be in here. So check it out.